everyone, I'm here from the Paranormal and today we are going to be reading from the subreddit r/paranormal. And today's story is titled, He Knocked from Inside the Mirror. Let's take a listen. It happened when I was 13. It was around 2 a.m. and I had just woken up because I needed to use the bathroom. My room was completely dark except for the sliver of light that came in from my closet door. There was a full-length mirror on my closet door, and a single red highlighter marker was stuck at the top. I stared into the mirror as I brushed my teeth and washed my face, which made the red highlighter reflect onto the mirror in my face. After going back to bed, it must have been about an hour before I was awoken again by a loud bang. I sat up in bed and heard my dad yell, "What the hell was that?" My mom yelled back, "I don't know." I looked over at my desk where my full-length mirror was, and there was a loud banging coming from inside of it. I ran over and pounded on the glass. "Mom, Dad, come here, please." I started screaming. My parents came running into my room and stood by my desk. They were yelling at each other, and they were arguing about whose turn it was to go check on me. I was sitting on the floor with my head in my hands crying. Then they both looked at the mirror at the same time and screamed. The mirror had a large spiderweb crack across the middle of it, and there were deep gouges taken out of the wood frame. We immediately left the house and went to stay at my aunt's, where my dad took the mirror down to get rid of it. He noticed that the gouges went all the way through the wood and into the drywall behind it. So it wasn't like something had just fallen on the mirror and broken it. Something had literally ripped the frame out of the wall. I was so scared that night. I remember pulling the covers up to my chin and looking over at the corner of the room, waiting for something to pop out at me. Needless to say, I didn't sleep much that night. In the morning, my dad put up a new mirror, but it was a small one. He said that we would have to wait until he could get a new full-length mirror. A few days later, my dad hung a new mirror, but it was only about half the height of the old one. My mom said that he was being ridiculous and that it wouldn't even make a difference if something wanted to break another mirror. But he insisted. One night, about a week later, I was lying in bed watching the ceiling. I don't remember what time it was or what had woken me up. I turned to look at the mirror on my door and I saw the outline of a man standing in front of it. He was very tall and thin and his arms were long and spindly. I couldn't see his face because he was blocking the reflection of the room, but I could see the top of his head. It was bald and it looked like a giant egg. I watched him walk up to the mirror and reach inside of it with his right hand. He pulled something out, and I do want to know what it was because the room was too dark to see. But he knocked it down on the floor and then he disappeared. The next morning, my dad found a small metal box under the mirror. It was old and covered in cobwebs. I don't remember what my dad said exactly, but he basically told us not to open it. We tried to convince my dad to let us open the box, but he refused. He said that whatever was inside probably shouldn't be messed with. He ended up taking the box with him to work and locked it in his desk drawer. A few weeks later, I got sick with the flu. One evening, my mom and dad were taking turns staying up with me while I threw up and slept. I think it was my dad's turn to stay up, and in the middle of the night, I heard my mom scream. I threw up all over the bathroom floor and then went back to bed. In the morning, my dad told me that my mom had gotten out of bed to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She opened the drawer where he kept the box and it was gone. My dad said that he searched everywhere, but he couldn't find it. Later that day, I was cleaning my room and I was looking for somewhere to put the stuffed animals that my mom had bought for me when I was little. As I was moving things around, I tripped over a small wooden box. I looked around to make sure that no one was watching, and then I opened it. Inside was a bunch of old papers and letters, some tied together with a string. I read through them, and they were love letters. They were written on very old paper, and the ink had mostly bled through to the other side. The letters were addressed to someone named Eleanor, and they were signed off with "Forever yours, Joseph." I also found a picture inside of the box. It was an old photograph of a young couple. The guy was tall and lanky with dark hair. The girl was shorter and curvy with bright red hair. The back of the photo was marked with the date August 1899. The handwriting was elegant and flowing, and underneath the date, it said Joseph and Eleanor. I called my parents in my room and showed them the photo. They were very surprised and concerned to hear that I had found the box. They agreed that it was weird that the box appeared in my room after they had lost it, especially since I hadn't seen it before. My dad asked if the box had a name on it, but I told him that it didn't. That night, I dreamed that I met a woman named Eleanor. She was kind of translucent, and she kept apologizing to me for whatever had happened. I feel bad for her because she seemed very sad. The next day, my dad took the picture and the letters to a professional. They couldn't tell how old the photo really was because the chemicals used to develop it were fairly modern. But they did agree that the handwriting on the photo was probably original. The woman who helped us was a medium, and she said that she could sense a lot of negative energy coming from the picture. She recommended that we burn it in the letters in the box, too. So that's what we did. That night, I dreamt that I was running away from the bald man. He was trying to grab me, but I kept running. I never found out what was in the box, but I'm glad it's gone. The new mirror doesn't have any strange markings on it, and I haven't seen the man since. Yeah, definitely seems like whoever or whatever was in that box definitely didn't want to be disturbed. And you can tell by the story of the love letters and everything else that this was somebody who was actually important to your great-grandfather or grandfather, whoever he was, just that they didn't want to be disturbed, especially after that mirror incident, that they were trapped, or they were held against their will, or they just didn't want to be removed from that location. Whatever it was, it seems like they were successful in that endeavor. And then, getting a hold of you and putting those love letters in your room, trying to communicate with you somehow, maybe showing you that they're still there, still present. Either way, definitely an interesting story with a very haunted artifact there. That mirror sounds like it was extremely creepy. Thanks for sharing this story. Glad you decided to do this. This is the host. If you've liked this video, please subscribe and join our community. We also have a podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.